What is up, guys? Deadset here. Fire builds are all the rage right now, and Holy is strong as ever, with Blessed Shield and Fate of the Fell being very viable choices. But a lot of people seem to think that the other elements, like Lightning, don't belong in Torments above 4, which is simply not true. With the changes in patch 2.05 to both Blessed Hammers and Falling Sword, Lightning is now more than ever a matter of gearing up. I will finish the rift that you see on the screen right now on Torment 6 solo with no unity. Let me tell you about the build. These are the skills I'm using. I must say there's nothing special about the spec. I've seen Capsu from Diablo fans running a very similar build. My point for the video is to show that if you gear for Lightning and you enjoy playing with Lightning, you are not gimping yourself in a meaningful way. Blessed Hammers with Thunderstruck is the Wrath Spender, probably the best Blessed Hammers rune in terms of reliable area of effect damage. It received a significant buff in patch 2.05, increasing the weapon damage to 320% and the arc damage to 60%, so during heavy casting you have between 3 to 4 arcs going in a circle around you, which nearly doubles your damage. Blessed Hammers is a very efficient Wrath Spender, which allows us to run a more offensive Akarat's champion instead of Embodiment of Power. The downside being that the Wrathful passive will be less efficient than in a Fist of Heavens build, thus I'm running with no sustain passives, but I assure you it's very much doable. Our second damage dealer is Falling Sword with Part the Clouds. This is somewhat of a controversial choice. I will admit that Falling Sword has some unfortunate downsides compared to other heavy-hitting cooldowns of the Crusader. It has a cumbersome casting animation and can place you in very dangerous situations, making it unattractive in hardcore. But I think that the pros outweigh the cons at this point. The percentages of both the skill and Part the Clouds as a rune have been increased tremendously, and with Blessed Hammer being a very cheap spender, you will always have the necessary wrath to cast a Falling Sword. Provoke with Charged Up is an overall solid skill. Despite the nerf to cooldown based builds, it will still serve you with a 3-in-1 utility of a damage booster with lightning no less, of restoring your wrath and attracting your enemies close so you can use Falling Sword right on top of them. Laws of Valor with critical is another damage boost. You can always use a bit of attack speed in a Blessed Hammers build, and with the improved uptime of Laws in patch 2.05, when you fight elites you can count on it to supplement your deficiencies in critical hit damage. Steed Charge with Endurance rune. For this build I go for full mobility boost. It will get you places faster and of course keeps you out of tight situations. And just like the Laws, in the recent patch Steed Charge has been given improved uptime. If you feel like you move quick enough already, you can switch it out for an offensive cooldown like Heaven's Fury with Thou Shall Not Pass, or a utility cooldown like Shield Glare with Divine Verdict. Finally, the Crusader's favorite ability, Akarat's Champion. I opted for Fire Starter once again. Even though I don't stack fire damage on my gear, it's still the best offensive rune in this patch and will add a couple of million on top of your DPS. If you're dissatisfied with your survivability, you could go for Prophet, but I really doubt you would need to. As for passives, Heavenly Strength is self-explanatory for two-handed Crusaders. Blunt is a 20% damage increase to your main Wrath Spender and is more than you could ever ask for. It's one of the excellent additions to the passives rework in 2.05. Holy Cause is a straight up 10% damage boost, and regardless of us not doing holy damage to make use of the heal, it's still a solid damage boost. We round out passives with Finery. With 7 sockets across my gear, this passive adds a significant amount of strength. This is it for the build. Now let's move on to the gear. Since we are talking endgame here, the 6-piece account bonus is a must-have for good performance. The demonstration is with a 5-piece and a Royal Grandeur ring. I'm using the account chest, shoulders, gloves, pants, and boots. Of course, you will need several other pieces with cooldown reduction if you want to make as much use of Akarat as you possibly can. I'm using a lightning damage Stone of Jordan. There isn't much to say here. This ring is best in slot for pretty much any endgame spec, and it only varies by element. The second ring, I mentioned that I'm using a ring of Royal Grandeur, but simply to prove the potential of the Lightning Crusader. If I was aiming for efficiency, I would go back to full 6-piece accounts, remove the Royal Grandeur for our unity, and use strong arm bracers for additional damage. I'm using Ogil's Helm and bracers. They offer a wonderful 3-piece set bonus, arguably the best crafted set in the game right now. Ideally though, I would use a strong arm bracer and lead into fights with Falling Sword, which knocks up enemies and procs the strong arms for additional 25% or more damage on my Blessed Hammer spam. I have an S of Johan as my amulet. The unique effect provides good utility even in this setup, bringing enemies together for more efficient Falling Sword use, but once again it truly shines when I'm using a strong arm bracer. Another very good option would be a lightning based Haunt of Vaxo, since you do have a stun effect to proc it through the Falling Sword. Rounding out the armor pieces is the belt, a Thunder God's Vigor, which is a refreshing change from the usual Harrington choice. It synergizes perfectly with its lightning damage bonus and the lightning damage procs. Moving on to the weapon and offhand, nothing surprising in this department. Schaefer's Hammer is the two-hander of choice for lightning builds, naturally rolling with lightning damage and offering additional lightning procs in combat. And the Hellskull Shield is the shield of choice for two-handed Crusaders, providing you with 10% increase in damage and the ever-important cooldown reduction. The Paragon Points are the usual affair for account set builds, 25% movement speed and the rest in strength in the core section, cooldown reduction and the rest in crit chance and crit damage in offense, all resist and then armor or life percentage according to your needs in defense, and area damage and life on hit in utility. So, in conclusion, is lightning as fast as Fist of the Heavens? No. But should you care for the 2 minutes per rift that you're potentially losing? Absolutely not. I would say that if you enjoy the idea of a Lightning Crusader and you're not in a race with someone, go for it. The damage is competitive, the speed is enjoyable, and you look like the freaking son of Thor. If that doesn't win you over, I don't know what will. Anyway, if you liked what you saw, I would appreciate your subscription to my channel. Check out my Twitch, talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I added to the description below, and I'll see you guys next time.